At 5:30, following a massive drug bust, Oregon State Police detailing how I-5 is used to distribute drugs and how they're working to stop it. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for NBC 16 News at 5:30. I'm Alan Matthews.
And I'm Gold Meadows. Its enforcement has kept large amounts of fentanyl and other drugs off the streets. And earlier this year, some of its hardest working officers' keen sense of smell also aided in the federal capture of a drug lord. Now, I rode along with OSP earlier today to learn more.
Hey, I'm Lieutenant Core of the State Police. You're being recorded. The reason I stopped you is you're going a little too fast back there. You were driving too fast. You're speeding.
Interstate 5, the highway which runs from Mexico to Canada, is the primary route for illegal substances like fentanyl to spill into local communities, and Oregon State Police say they've had an increase in their work to stop drug traffickers in their tracks.
It is a well-known corridor for trafficking of illicit items, to include drugs. The frequency was quite high this last year. The frequency of our drug arrests were pretty often.
What trends are you currently seeing when we talk about I-5 specifically involving drugs, particularly fentanyl?
The vast majority of the fentanyl and drugs that we are seizing are coming from usually Southern or Central California, and to come up along the corridor. Most of the drugs that we find are in passenger vehicles, mainly because they're easy to try to hide within the general motoring public, and we use traffic enforcement to find crimes.
Lieutenant Clay Core took over the state's K-9 program in 2015 and oversees 13 K-9s that train to sniff out drugs, explosives, and accelerants, along with fish and wildlife and SWAT dogs. Their knack for odor recognition helps pull the drugs off the busy highway.
How do you know what to look for?
When you stop so many cars in your career, you know what the general motoring public looks like. You know what is normal for a road trip or your drive into work. And oftentimes there's trade craft that is present with people who smuggle bulk narcotics that we are trained to find. It could be anybody, you know. And so you treat everybody with kindness, but you always suspect that they could be up to something.
How much of a problem is fentanyl for the area?
Oh, a huge problem. There's overdoses all the time, and you know, drug crimes lead to a lot of person crimes and other crimes. You know, people get desperate. There's assaults, burglaries, robberies, theft.
Finding these drug traffickers is a matter of training and discernment, keeping up with trends, and the right K-9 on the job.
You might open up the back of the vehicle and it's in boxes or bags, and there's been other times where they're in extremely well-made manufactured compartments, you know, built into the body. We have found floor compartments that we have to break into after we locate them.
Lieutenant Core and the K-9 team seized about 1.4 million fentanyl pills over the course of the last year, drugs that stayed out of local cities.
Anytime we have a successful seizure, that it'll put a dent into it, you know, make it harder for people to get, and maybe give them an opportunity to get clean. And I feel like what we're doing is making a difference.
OSP also had a role in the April 28th capture of Heriberto Amaya, the man allegedly in charge of a Mexican drug trafficking ring connected to the Sinaloa cartel. Lieutenant Core says one of his K-9 handlers assisted with the investigation and search of vehicles and a home during that federal investigation.
Amaya, who is charged with conspiracy to distribute fentanyl, among other charges, was said to lead a multi-state operation through which 4.2 million fentanyl pills and multiple other drugs, cars, and jewelry were seized.